So before we get into today's topics, I'm going to start by being vapid, or is it being helpful? I don't know, because self-care. So, um, last night I did a little flexi rod. Well, no, it was a satin wave roller set. And normally when I do that, I separate the curls after, but today I didn't yet. I don't know why. But I can't decide if I should or shouldn't. There's part of me liked the specific curl pattern formation. I don't know. Now I have the urge to do it. Okay, I think I am gonna do it. Anyway, apologies. So while I do that, I'm gonna just kind of talk to you guys today. So I said, I was gonna do another fucking Brittany Jones live stream, but I did find yet another podcast interview with Voices to Voices. The same fucking person that, like, the two. This is the third one. And, yeah, just that guy, I feel like is a real kiss ass when it comes to her, in my opinion. But so we're gonna watch that interview. I haven't seen it yet. I did not look at the transcript this time, so this will be a real first time reaction for us all, unless you already watched it, but without me, and how dare you. Anyway, so we'll be watching that. I found a Facebook post. We had watched this interview that she did on KOIN previously, so I'm not gonna rewatch that interview, but I saw a Facebook post where the KOIN news article publication shared their news article of it that we watched already, and we're gonna look at the comments on that and also look at when I left. And then we'll also look at last night actually, I saw a post. Somebody had tagged Brittany in a post, and it pissed me off. So, I mean, I was just triggered by it, whatever, because of everything else that has happened, And so, yeah, we'll look at what I said there. And we'll also look at, on that KOIN interview that I had just mentioned, this dude that says he works for Brittany, he had commented on there, so I'll show you what I said to him. We'll also look at, before we get into all of that though, we'll just kind of look at some concepts. And again, when I pull up these Google searches, it's not that these Google searches to me are the actual sources, but it's just to kind of show you guys the concepts of where I get some of my ideology, and the leading you to where you can go find more sources, and just showing you, like, I'm not the only one that thinks this way, that just kind of so you can kind of understand social concepts. If you aren't exposed to that already, some of you, you already know all this shit, so like, it's like, well, that's why it's timestamped, so hopefully you can skip through the parts that you don't need to be told. But even if you do already know this shit though, it's kind of like, it's like you can know what something is, but just see what is being said for the context of it. I don't know. But yeah, okay, so I'm gonna roll my intro, and we'll get into everything of this little shit fuck of a live stream here. And thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you.
Descendants of Seneca. Seneca Maca is the land of the Powhatan.
I have started here by just kind of picking up natural sections, splitting that in half, and throwing it back, like where my hair, like, because when you pick up your hair, it kind of wants to section on its own, so. Yeah, just been doing that. I already did the right side, well, my right, your left, maybe, I don't know. And, yeah. Okay, so moving on into everything. I'm just almost finished here. It is 1 o'clock for me, but I'm still just now drinking my coffee. Okay, you know what? Yeah, no, I like that better. Okay, yeah, no, that was needed. That was needed. Yeah. All right. So anyway, um, so fucking getting into everything here. I'm terrible at stalling, but you know, you're still here, aren't you? Or you're not, because not many people watch this live. But is anyone even watching this? Oh, there's one of you here. Hey, dude, whoever the fuck you are. Anyway, so you know, some people watch and they don't chat, and so then I don't even feel like I know you. But anyway, so getting into everything, the concept of discrimination here that I want to discuss when it comes to some of my issues with Brittany Jones, I've been discussing how I believe she is, why am I getting so many fucking notifications right now? I believe she's been tokenizing Native identity in order to act as if she has proximity to Native community. I believe she tokenizes the Native people she's ever met to act as if that's what makes her Native, in my opinion. Because when you ask her about her Native identity, she does not explain or articulate. This is crazy. Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'll figure that out later. Anyway. Fucking focus, bitch. So when it comes to Native identity, she can't actually discuss a relationship she has, you know, with her aunts. She can't discuss her lineage. She doesn't discuss her lineage. She does, like, it's not known, it's not published, it's not documented anywhere. It's not on Family Search. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't know family history. She's not connected to culture. She's not connected to ways. She's not connected to the community. She's never met the Potomac tribe, she claims. And it's one thing for any descendant or for any person who, you know, truly by all counts is not a descendant but may not be connected to the community to be discussing or processing our life and our reflections of everything in our own space and our own social platforms, etc. I think that can be useful. But when it comes to taking opportunities such as running a governor campaign off of these concepts, taking interview opportunities and podcast opportunities, and taking representation spaces in the news, claiming you have a Native identity when you were not raised to be Native is problematic in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And mind you guys, she didn't have any clue she had any connection to any Potomac tribe or anything like that until she got a GEDmatch DNA analysis done, which said she was related to Potomacs. However, not a single one of her ancestors documented in familysearch.org are Potomac. But you know who they are? They are people who colonized Powhatans, such as Nathaniel Bacon. She literally does descend from Nathaniel Bacon. And I've shown you guys, we've clicked through everything in familysearch.org. These are her grandparents on her mom's side. These are her mom's parents. And, yeah, fucking, this linked family search tree is linked in the description of this video. I've already clicked through it on live stream. I've clicked through it several times off of live stream. There's not a single Native American ancestor documented in this family tree. I can figure out no connection to the Potomac tribe from her ancestors documented. So GEDmatch will show you who you're related to. You know who this does show in family tree? She's definitely a descendant of people who are known for colonizing and raping Powhatan people, and are why Powhatans are mixed European. So I've had a lot of conspiracy theories about why I believe there was that discrepancy. Why would a GEDmatch DNA analysis show she's related to Powhatans but it not be documented in her family tree at all? And I've, in previous videos, gone on a long rant about different explanations for the discrepancy. I actually put like 8 different things on there. We've discussed it all, so I'm not going to go into all of those explanations again because I'm not trying to repeat everything. But what I want to harp on is is it not possible for her to simply be a descendant of the Europeans who we share common ancestry with, which would explain why she has common ancestry with Powhatans, but does not actually have any Powhatans documented in her family tree? I think that would be a logical explanation. Bill Deo did confirm that she was related to the Potomac tribe through GEDmatch DNA analysis. However, to my knowledge, he's only reviewed the GEDmatch. He's never, to my knowledge, confirmed genealogical records. To my knowledge, I can only speak to what I've seen and shown proof of already. You know, and so if anything besides that happened, I just don't know about it and haven't seen the proof of it. So I'm only speaking to what I've seen the proof of. To my knowledge, her only relationship with any Potomac enrolled member is William Dea through getting that DNA GEDmatch confirmed. To my knowledge, her mother did not know. Am I muted? No, I'm good. Did I love how I just now checked? Okay, to my knowledge, her mother had no clue, no knowledge of any whatever her heritage was. They were white, culturally assimilated. However, her mother did study Native people whenever Brittany Jones was a kid. To my knowledge, Brittany Jones has been claiming that being around natives as a kid is why she had a Native identity, because and is on the news she says that as a kid she jingle dress danced and went to powwow. Whenever they ask her about being Indigenous, that is her response to the question. She doesn't say, oh, I just found out through a GEDmatch DNA test I have far back ancestry and I didn't know about it until my 30s. She answers as if powwow and jingle dress dancing makes her Powhatan, and she's never been to a Powhatan powwow, and she's didn't know she was Indigenous when she went to those. Or, you know, she's made two statements about that. In a voice message to me, she said she never claimed that she was Indigenous as a child. And then in an interview, she said she was raised Indigenous, and she also told me in a message that she was not raised white. All of that's covered. Check the playlist. And what I'm gonna need to do is in the description of the playlist, I need to go watch all the videos and then properly recap and write out what is in each video in the description of the playlist, so that way it's easier for you guys to find these things that I'm speaking about. And so I will go do that whenever I can. And I usually try and do that, but I just feel like I just didn't get it done on this one yet. So I will try and go get that done soon. But yeah, fucking. So she makes different statements about her connection. I feel she tries to utilize proximity and association with knowing other Native people to act as if that makes her Native when it doesn't. Instead of doing the work to connect to her own community as an adult, if she actually is a descendant, which there is no proof of beyond the GEDmatch DNA analysis. You know what I'm saying? Winga pa nagtapawa sa kiringkan? So, yeah. Minkan draidak mata aramoiskwa. Anyway, yeah. Fucking. Alright. So, fucking. Just kind of, oh my god, this is hilarious but fucked up. When you Google tokenizing, Token from South Park picture comes up. That's why is this funny to me? I'm fucked up. It's the millennial in me, I think. I don't know. But I was what the fuck? Did y'all see that? Anyway, I don't know whether to be offended or to be entertained by that. Maybe a little bit of both. But yeah. Good bit. I was struggling with anger today, but like I've been better now. Fucking, I don't know, just getting it out of me, because it's like part of what's making me so angry about the Brittany Jones thing is the public misrepresentation of Indigenous issues, in my opinion. So whenever I'm able to like put my fucking opinions about it out there, I feel better because I don't feel like this misinformation isn't being corrected or something, you know? Like, I don't know, it doesn't even have to be like, it's just like the fact that like she's literally telling people, you know, that she has these experiences which she does not have, you know, where she's trying to speak for people who have been sex trafficked, and she's trying to speak for MMIW and MMIP, and she's trying to, you know, take campaign donations off of the Native identity. All of those things really trigger me on top of everything else I've discussed. And so it's like, I just, you know, so seeing all of that out there, like, it really filled me with rage. And last night, I saw somebody tag Brittany Jones, as I've been saying earlier in the intro, but I'm gonna recap, fuck it. Like last night when I saw someone tag her in this post, I got like mad all over again, because it's like, why the fuck are bitches still like, how are bitches supporting this? Are bitches aware of everything that she's fucking done and still supporting this? Or do they not fucking know? You know, because some people, I truly think they don't know. And so I hope me being frustrated about this doesn't make you feel bad in any way, shape, or form, where I'm like, what fucking idiots. That's not about any you specifically. It's just like, I'm so frustrated by what she's done. I hope you understand. But where it comes to people who are like totally aware of what she's done and they are still supporting it, I'm like, no, you're the fucking idiots. Fucking twat waffles. Suck my dick. You all suck ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all know what I mean? I don't know if I can't use my words. But anyway, so, like, when it comes to these concepts of where I'm saying that she's tokenizing, I think she not only tokenizes other natives to act as if she's native, she's also then willing to use that fake native identity where she equates these experiences she doesn't have as if that makes her native, to then be a token, to be like, hey, I'm your native representative now. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it that she's trying to be in colonial spaces that you know what I mean? Like, think about that. So that's how she's trying to get these podcast interviews, because a lot of these people aren't interviewing the other European candidates running against Tina Kotek. You know who they're interested in? The one claiming to be native. Why? Because she's using that identity as if that makes her have a different world perspective than the others. However, the reason it doesn't is because she was never connected to an Indigenous identity that would give her a different perspective. Finding out through a GEDmatch DNA analysis in your 30s that you have far distant ancestral connection, but you don't know who the fuck your native ancestors are because they're not documented, does not make you native, in my opinion. And another thing, I think a lot of mixed natives are really triggered by this. I know every native person is pretty triggered, you know, when it comes to these concepts one way or the other. I know a lot of natives get real fucking triggered. I think it particularly impacts the way a lot of us mixed natives feel about ourselves and how we get triggered because of the way we struggle with all sides of our ancestry. And so for her to not acknowledge her European ancestry and to just all of a sudden want to act like she's only Native American and nothing else is extremely triggering. You know what I'm saying? I need to process that better to fully articulate it, but cause, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, because I can't speak for being a full native because I'm not. So that's a lived experience I do not have. So this is not to speak for that experience. This is to speak for my own experience, having my father being who he is, You know what I'm saying? And the difference between being racially mixed and mixed heritage, and the difference between when you're a descendant who has far distant ancestry, who is fully European assimilated, fully European presenting, does not have, you know, these social issues or lived experience on that to try and speak for it. It's like, I think that is a particular trigger for anyone that looks like me, for anyone with family like mine. You know what I'm saying? Because of what our family went through, because of what we see. And for her to claim that she was not raised like that she was not raised white is fucking insane to me. And then she literally said after that she was smarter than to say that publicly. Let that sink in, bitches. You're not a bitch unless you are. I don't know. If I call you a bitch, it's because you're my bitch. But thanks, Anderson Pack. But is it Pack or Pack? Shit, man. I don't know. Am I even saying that right? I don't know. My bad. But moving on, way off track here, or am I right where I need to be? Y'all see where I'm going? Like, I've linked this information about tokenizing Indigenous identity, just so you can go through these Google searches and kind of do a little bit more research if you want to kind of understand where I'm coming from. How you doing, Exposure? Thank you for joining us today. It's another bitch fest. I hope you're having a great day. So we're also, you know, I was speaking on how I believe she's tokenizing Indigenous identity, not only when it comes to relationships to other natives, but also trying to act as if her having that identity then makes her the token, in my opinion. And again, mind you guys, on the concept of can you be native without native ancestors documented? If a DNA test says you have far back ancestry, having distant Native American DNA without documented ancestor could make you genetically related to Indigenous people, but it does not make you a citizen or a member of a native nation. It can show ancestry, but tribes determine citizenship based on documented generational lineage and social connection, not DNA tests. So here's the thing. She's trying to say that if you don't say she's native, then you're weaponizing blood quantum against her. But I believe she's weaponizing blood quantum to claim she's native when she has no ancestral connection, she has no social connection, and she is not doing that work to, if she did have that DNA, she's not doing the work to deconstruct the white privilege and to decolonize with the colonial assimilation her family has had. She's not doing the work to acknowledge the benefits that her family received under assimilation as under colonialism. She's not doing the work to recognize what it means to be a descendant of Nathaniel Bacon and claiming Powhatan at that. She's not doing the work to go learn the language, to go connect with the people. I've barely done the work. I've barely scratched the surface. And it's one thing for me to speak to my own experience that I'm grateful for with reconnecting and my community connections and everything like that. And it's one thing for her to do that in a way where she wants to express if she was grateful for the opportunities she is given, right? But where she is acting as if there's over 1,000 fucking enrolled members of the Potomac tribe, not counting the descendants who are not enrolled, who are connected. And she's acting as if she's fully connected to thousands of people. That's where I have a problem. Like, no, you can't just go speak to thousands of people to earn those roles as a representative in Native community. Means you do the work for the community to know you, recognize you, see your work, and you serve them first. Then you can speak for them. I can only speak for myself. Bitches watch me sometimes because it's like, they're like, okay, some crazy bitches speaking, let's get our popcorn out. But it's like, that doesn't mean I'm speaking for anybody other than me, myself, and I on my own fucking platforms, right? Versus when you're trying to say, I'm going to be a governor as a Native woman, and you're on fucking news outlets and podcasts claiming you speak for Natives and are connected to the community and were raised Indigenous, etc., like that, as if you were, leading people to believe these things, in my opinion. Like, when you're doing that type of shit and they don't fucking know you like that, that's crazy work to me. That's identity fraud to me. So that's just my opinion. Some people agree with me, some people disagree with me. It's up to you. And again, this family tree is linked in the description of this video. Oh, okay, so apologies. I was on my little rant here. Let's put the chat. Oh, shit. Layers. Oh, let's see, is there a better chat? That one's kind of bigger. Okay, so I don't know how to contact you, but I was going to ask if you could do a guy called Leonard Garcia Nets. Also goes by Compali Commando cover. Okay. Yeah, so I have another person. Apologies. You had asked me to cover another person. Oh, shit. You had asked me to cover another person, too, and I never got around to that one either. I need to go figure out I need to figure out, do you remember the other person that you wanted me to cover too? Shit, it was like Daniel something, right? I'll cover both of them. I need to look into that. I got distracted with this Brittany Jones situation, with some other life stuff, and there's this other situation I want to cover next that I've prepped. So my next live stream will be about something else, but after that, then I can do your two people. Let me write this down. Let's see. Where my pen at? Marco. Do I have a pen over here? Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm writing this down. We're covering Compali underscore one word, lowercase. Leonard Garcia. Oh, okay. Daniel J. McKay. You've got McKay covered. All right. Well then. Well, maybe we'll touch on him if we get distracted. I'll focus on Leonard first. Okay. I've written that down. It's on the list. Thank you for your suggestions. I appreciate your contributions. We will get that covered. And yeah. Moving back into the Brittany Jones situation. Oh my god, Jewel said polo. Okay, so next up, the post I had told you guys about. So on TikTok, what am I? On TikTok, Koska, KOHZKAH, apologies if I'm saying that wrong, posted tagging Brittany Jones in a post related to ICE, which, fuck ICE, and I support protesting ICE, fuck them bitches. So theoretically, it's like, you could say maybe I'm detracting from the concept of what's more important here with fighting ICE, right? By calling out Brittany Jones. I think also you may understand why I'm so triggered where I perceive ICE as something that does impact and perpetuate Native genocide. And I get triggered at the fact that this person who I perceive to be lying about proximity to natives to create a false narrative around Native identity to then be tagged in posts related to Native genocide. It's like, but she's still doing it. She's literally actively participating in Indigenous erasure. So you know. Oh yeah. So no, Tawana Thomas Thornton Oldacre is Harley Quinn. Brittany Jones is European descent, full European ancestors documented on family search. Her family tree is linked in the description of the video. Those are her grandparents on her mom's side, which is the side that she claims she's Patomac on. Guess where my dad is from? Senacomaca. Hey. So you know, y'all know how it is when someone's trying to claim to be your people, but they ain't got your ancestors documented. You know how it is, right? Yeah. 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 Anyway. Ice having that name disrespects Ice Cube. You know, yeah, I feel like I hope Ice Cube and 50 Cent never let me down. I idolized them a little too much in my head, and I hope they never let me down. Just don't let me down, guys. I don't need to find, I don't need any more, I don't need to find out any more bad shit about people I admire. Just, you know what I'm saying? So, if they've done anything that I need to know about, don't burst my bubble until next week. Just give me one more week of believing in them, please. At least. But hopefully they won't, they don't crush my dreams. Anyway, so what I had said, Brittany Jones lies about her native ancestry. If you support her, we don't have value alignment. I'm from the tribe she claims. And then I said, Brittany was evicted for squatting, then tried to use land back movement to excuse her attempt to inhabit someone else's property without consent. She raises $57,000 claiming to be native, and she raised over $20,000 claiming she would give away a vehicle she kept. She exploits her kids' medical diagnosis to support her campaign. She has caused people to harass the Potomac tribe and Potomac elders. She's a danger to natives and causes harm to Potomacs. That's what the fuck I said. That's what the fuck I believe. I also said, what she lies about is she claims she was raised native, and she takes interviews claiming she has a native perspective, but she has no native ancestors documented and didn't find out till her 30s through GEDmatch, but no native culture passed to her, no connection to tribe. She claims what makes her native is knowing other natives, that other natives raised her to not be white, but she was raised by a white mom who is European. She also claimed Blackfoot, Choctaw, and Chickasaw, but none of that is in her tree either. She did get a GEDmatch DNA analysis reviewed by tribal historian, but she has no native ancestors documented, only European ancestors documented in familysearch. This is my dad, an actual Potomac man. Brittany Jones is European. She is a descendant of Nathaniel Bacon, and I can prove it. Her family is directly responsible for genocide of my dad's family. Today, she is still committing Indigenous erasure by spreading misinformation about Potomacs and Powhatans. She can't even say the tribe's name right. She even lied in an interview about getting enrolled when she knows and was already told she can't get enrolled as she is not Native connected. Plus, even if she were, the enrollment office is closed and she knows that, but lies anyway. She keeps lying about being Native. She said jingle dress dancing was her heritage. That is not Powhatan. That is Anishinaabe. She tokenizes natives to culturally appropriate. And I put a picture of my dad. My Brittany was evicted for squatting comment, where I said she stole where I talked about the money she stole and said I believe she's a danger. That was taken down. That was stricken. Was that Brittany? Hey, Brittany. So I peeled that, and I posted every single screenshot that I just showed you, along with this one. I posted on my TikTok story. I believe it's still there right now. And on it, it has an overlay that says, check out my Brittany Jones playlist speaking out against this white woman lying about Native identity, exploiting Native people, perpetuating genocide against my father's family, and with my YouTube URL. This blurb, I put that on every single picture, and I put that on my TikTok story, except for on this one, I also added, hey colonizer, you can't silence me, Brittany Jones, because I believe she likely is the one who reported that. And yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. And before we get into the next thing I'm gonna show you, let's pull up some comments here. So Jules says it baffles me how she wants to be from Adanamak, our fertile nation, Sinakomaka. I've never read this first word right before, so I'm gonna try it again. Atan Akamik. No, that's not right. Adan Akamik. I'm positive that the first part is probably more pronounced like Adan. Adan Akamik or Adan Akamik is where I'm struggling. Adan Akamik. At first, my mind was not processing the letters in the words. Now I believe I've got the letters down, so theoretically I should know the pronunciation. However, I'm not understanding in my mind where to stress the syllables, even if I think I know how to say the letters. But anyway, that's the learning journey with language. And it's a good journey to be on. But after that, exposure said, I won't claim what tribe my family is from due to I have no knowledge except what has been told, but every time they are brought up, I do love learning about it, but I would never want to be claimed. I don't even know how to do all those GEDmatching DNA testing stuff. And there's, my opinion, there's nothing wrong with you discussing your history, your understanding of your history, right, in your own space, or even something like this where you're not taking away from representation right now from anybody else by saying what your own family history is. You're not out there trying to run as governor. You're not out there trying to take interviews and news outlets and media podcasts speaking for all natives. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm like, to me, you could have just found out today you could just look right now in your family tree and be like, hey, I just found a native ancestor and I had no idea I had any native ancestry before. And you could just be honest about that, and I will think you are a more real, valid native than somebody who may have found out their 10th great grandfather was native, but is now claiming they were raised native when they were not. You know what I mean? For me, it's not about how far back something is. It's about the facts, and about being truthful, and about being honest with the representation, and about not misrepresenting or taking space from others who can accurately represent. You know what I'm saying? And that's my problem with Brittany Jones, man. So back to the next thing here. So we're gonna look. So next up, I'm gonna show you guys the screenshots here. I also will look right here at this post where I commented and I documented that just so I'd have it for my records. But yeah, so on the KOIN post here, we've already watched this this whole interview or whatever. But so we're not gonna watch that again. But the comments here. So, and I responded to one. So this guy, actually, I don't know their gender. I'm just saying this guy without thinking about it. But this person, Kai Nitsil, I don't even know if I'm saying the name right, had commented. And when you hover over them, it says secretary at the Ravens party. Which means they're working for Brittany Jones. So they said, I love how pressed this comment section is. Jones is one of the best options out there in terms of the Democratic candidate for Oregon, and she's a hell of a lot better than Kotek. Stop whining about not voting for her. Your primary vote won't matter if you're a Republican anyway until November. She isn't the person you get a say in until the general election. And I responded with a similar but different comment than what I made on the previous post we just looked at. I said, and I commented directly to Kai. Hi, my dad is Ashley Potomac. You're supporting a European woman who lies about Native identity to exploit Native people for her political gain. She is spreading misinformation about Potomacs, causing Potomacs harm and harassment of our elders. She doesn't even pronounce the tribe's name right, doesn't know what it means to be Powhatan, was not raised connected to Indigenous community. Everything she says about being Native is based on a lie. You are defending and supporting white supremacy, in my opinion. Every one of her ancestors documented are European. She is a literal descendant of Nathaniel Bacon. She exploits her kids' medical diagnosis. She is speaking over and taking representation from real Native Americans. She blocked me for calling her out for lying and won't debate me publicly about being Native because I can call her out on all her lies. She tokenizes and culturally appropriates other Native cultures to claim Native, but she is not at all connected to Palatins. You supporting her racism and Indigenous erasure makes you just as racist, in my opinion. Put a link to my YouTube. I said this is where I've documented all the proof. And then I put an edit and I tagged the KOIN 6. And I had previously shown that I had tagged Kai, but I wonder if it went away when I edited it and I didn't notice. Anyway, and it said, and so now KOIN 6 is tagged, and I said, if you could please issue corrections that Brittany Jones is European and is not Native, I will stop saying you lack journalistic integrity. Yeah, that's what I commented there. So, before we get into the rest of the general public consensus on that comment thread about Brittany Jones' candidacy, we'll pull up my comments here again. We'll bring up the chat. Oh, maybe I should hit the right button. So, Exposure said, I know my truth, due to understandings, it's only 25% in blood quantum, but I do intend on finding out more. Oh, not 25, an eighth. Technicalities, and you're not an idiot. Sometimes it's confusing when you're trying to figure that shit out, and it's like, whatever. Just a heads up about Compali Commando. It's not somebody you would want to go into DMs with. I have a full video about his rep. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to, you know, look at what happened, and we'll go from there and look into everything. Yeah. So yeah, back to the comments on this same post here though. So here we got a lot of people talking about whether or not they would vote for Brittany and who they would vote for and all of that and their political opinions. A lot more people are pro Brittany than I thought they'd be, you know, so it's crazy. She might actually have a shot at winning, y'all. I'm flabbergasted. My gastids are flabbered, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, so someone's saying there's no good Democratic Party. That party has been reduced to one policy and one policy alone, hate Trump. Other than that, they have nothing to offer anyone that makes them worth the vote. Someone said she isn't. The only thing you see is progressive. They're anything but. Someone else said vote red. So it's a lot of, you know, Republicans, I am assuming here. Then you got me. And someone else said it's a very crowded field, but with only 500 in campaign contributions, so she got a lot less for her governorship than she did for president. It would be very tough to get her message out without the free media, which is part of why I believe she's using Native identity to get those speaking platforms over her other peers she's running against. A lot of people are saying no kings and stuff like that. Someone said trading Lucifer for Lilith isn't sounding all that great. Someone said because Kotek isn't far left enough. Someone says Kotek represents us all equally for the people. So someone else said keep Oregon blue. Someone else said Tina Kotek has my vote. So Kotek still has a lot of people's votes here. But still, you can see someone else, and someone else is not communist enough. Someone else put, Jones has my vote all the way. How can we expect someone to help those struggling through the bullshit Oregon has become if they haven't lived in the trenches with us? Brittany isn't sitting in her mansion handing out peanuts to the peasants. She's in the trenches doing the hard work and standing with us to make a change. Do your own research. But as far as governorship, I want someone who understands me, not really just trying to help the wealthy. I feel like you probably haven't done your research if you're willing to vote for someone who's lying about their Native identity, in my opinion. But, you know, that's just me. I don't think somebody who is willing to take donations and money off of other people using a Native identity is necessarily someone who is working in the trenches with you, unless you're also scamming people. But that's just me. Exposure said, who the heck is Lilith? So before Adam and Eve, there's a theory that goes before Eve there was Lilith. But Lilith, they say, tempted Adam too much, or something like that. Let's see, who is Lilith? So she's a mythological figure. She originates from Mesopotamian demonology. She was apparently known in Jewish folklore as Adam's defiant first wife. She refused submission, fled Eden, and became a demon of the night. Accused of harming children, later reclaimed by modern feminism as a sense of autonomy. I'll link that in the description later. So yeah. And then, you know, got some people here vote for red. Some people say as long as we stay blue. Someone said I watched her interview. She seems a little kooky. Typical talking points with no actual solutions. That said, I applaud her service. This person, these last two comments right here, is the most real shit I've seen in this thread so far. But you know what I'm saying. So a lot of people are saying they like her and shit. But yeah. So a lot of people are saying they will vote for her. And this person said they do love her skeleton earrings. But yeah. So I've been talking about how unrealistic it is for her to win, in my opinion. But it looks like the people of Oregon do not give a fuck if she lies about her Native identity or not, because they don't want to vote red or something. Now, next up, we have here, this is an Instagram post from this bitch named Gina. And it says, meet Brittany Jones. She is running for Oregon governor. The way she presents herself in such a professional manner is impressive. How about those skeleton earrings? Or how she is wielding a knife while she complains about religious indoctrination? So polished and such a breath of fresh air from what we've been governed by for years. So I find their comments pretty problematic for several reasons. It says, Lord help us angry liberals. But I think this does show that liberals and Republicans are one and the same. You know what I'm saying? So here, she's talking about religious indoctrination for the Potomac tribe. It's, in my opinion, she should not be, you know, like, look, if she were just putting this on her own social media and she was not running for governor and it wasn't about the governor campaign and under that public scrutiny, it'd be like, whatever. But the way she's running for governor, that's not her, this is not her lived experience to speak on. Her family history is only connected to it as it relates to being a European colonizer, not from the Indigenous perspective, in my opinion. That's all I can say. She can only speak to this from being a descendant of Nathaniel Bacon himself, you know? But yeah. So some people, you know, they don't like her. Some people, they do. But the main ones who don't like her are, like, problematic Trumpers, I think, or something like that. And for some reason, like, white liberals love her, and I do not understand it. I think it's because, like, white liberals seem to think that before Trump, America was good, and it's like, you know what I mean? So they act as if, you know, all they need to do is be in control again and everything will be better, but they don't understand that that's them partaking in colonialism. You know what I mean, in my opinion? But that's just me. So yeah, next up, I did find another podcast that she was in. I was trying to link the story of Lilith thing and fucking shit up, so I'm just gonna get out of there. Fuck it. My bad. Distracted. Okay, so I will link that later. But this is the third podcast from the same person, the Voices to Voices thing, that she's done with him. And I wanted to do a reaction to that next. And just kind of, you know. So I'm gonna watch this at 1.5 speed. and we'll see what they have to say here. Last time I had pre-watched some of it, but I haven't pre-watched any of this shit. Oh wait, did I cover everything here? Yeah, I did. We covered everything here. So, yeah. Okay. Now, oh shit, I'm sorry. I just realized I got more comments here. Let's look at those real quick. So, read a lot of Bibles, but I've never seen her verse, and I'm not even into that stuff that I just like researching. Funny. Well, it's not that funny, but all the stormtroopers are the colonizers. Emperor Palpatine resembles the government. Right. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I read the Bible once to try and understand some of my family better, and I didn't really get it either. But, yeah. Yeah, because this isn't in Christianity. It's, you know. Okay, so let's actually watch this thingy now.
Hey everyone, it's Justin here with Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the show. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. Thanks for the demand, bringing us across the world and over 1,000 countries, over over 100 countries and 1,000 cities. I know I had something mixed up, but
1.5 is kind of slow. I'm going to try not to go up to 1.75 immediately, but I am going to go to 1.65.
it all goes together. Just goes to show that we're reaching a lot of people. And one of our prior guests that you probably will recognize, whether you are watching or listening, Brittany Jones, she is back with us for this episode. We're getting a little bit closer to election time. If you don't remember, or even if you do, she is running for the governorship of the state of Oregon here in the United States. And again, we welcome candidates from both sides of the aisle, libertarian, and anything in between. And Brittany's taking advantage of it, and we are happy to bring her to you again. So thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back.
Absolutely. So let's jump into some of the questions that we had put together. Just looking for at the beginning, you know, in your opinion, how has how have things in Oregon been doing under the current administration? Since we talked, I I understand that you want to be running for the office that you are. If things were going, in your opinion, the way in ways that you see in your eyes. So maybe we can get started there.
Yeah, well, to put it bluntly, I don't think they're
Oh yeah, just interrupting that because fuck, they're boring me anyway. So Spider said hopes nobody hates him for saying this, but somebody had to have been on acid when they wrote that book. Honestly, I think a lot of books and art was done on drugs. You know what I mean? Or if not directly on drugs, as a result of mania and mental health processing. I think that's where a lot of art comes from. It's processing mental health help and you know, not every art, but a lot of art. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, if you think someone was on acid when they did something, they probably were. You know what I mean? I had somebody kept asking me over and over, "Are you real? Are you real? Are you real?" I was like, "You are fucking having an ego death right now." I was like, "Did you take acid or shrooms? What the fuck are you on, dude?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like sometimes when you know, you know. There's just no. It's not even like. It's just a fact. It's like everybody can fucking see that shit. We all know whoever was writing Alice in Wonderland, whatever the fuck their name is, that they had to have been on acid or mushrooms. We know they were tripping dick. I don't think it's offensive. I think that sometimes it's just a fact.
living up to the expectations of what's needed. They're not doing everything they can do to protect the people of the state. And, you know, Portland's on national news with ICE and protests, and 2 people were shot by ICE in Portland. And it's escalating here after Minnesota's escalation. And the governor that we currently have is too busy, you know, texting Donald Trump and increasing our fees and our taxes.
I feel like she's either ignorant or skirting over intentionally some of these social issues here, because when you look at where Trump sent ICE to first, Portland and Minneapolis, those 2 cities fought the hardest and did the biggest protests, not only against ICE consistently, but also during the Black Lives Matter movement, about 6 years ago, the hardest protests, Minneapolis and Portland, in my opinion, that I saw public record of that was not censored. Okay? I know everybody's been doing a lot of work across America, but like what was not censored, some of the hardest shit we saw. Where, you know what I mean? Like, and so Trump targeting those cities with ICE is retaliation, in my opinion, for those types of events. And you cannot blame the governor, in my opinion, for ICE coming to these states. It's just my opinion. We can judge the governor for specific things that the governor has said or done, but what does she mean texting the president? So let's look into that. Like, okay, I'm trying to zoom in here. I don't know if this is real or not, but what I could find about this is that it says, Governor, this is President Trump's assistant, Natalie Hart, sharing from the president. Governor, the ICE facility in Portland was attacked again last night. In fact, it and other federal buildings are being attacked on a nightly basis. We can't have this. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And it says, received. I know he has a busy schedule today. We'll try calling him later. Thanks. It says, thank you. It says, Natalie, please pass this along to the president. I just received your notice to mobilize the Oregon National Guard outside of my control. I believe this is unlawful and unwarranted. You broke your promise to speak with me before. So, Tina Kotek is trying to keep them from sending the guard in, and was outside of her power control, because I don't know if you know this or not, but federal is over state, right? So she's trying to, with the people in control of her, negotiate with them to not send them the National Guard in, but they sent them in anyway. That is what this is showing. But I believe, because she's saying, I will try calling him later, thanks, she's talking to the assistant here. Her taking out any frustration with the assistant, that's not how things go when you work in admin. That's not going to get you anywhere. So, I was working for a corporation. My job was to schedule appointments for people to buy and own the franchise. These pricing points for these meetings are averaging around $50,000 for the deal. My job is to get that deal closed. However, my job was also to schedule these appointments across multiple states, and I'm not fucking there. So we have to do it remotely. However, we need them to come in person to sign the disclosure paperwork for the franchise agreement because of the FTC laws. There's a cool down period. We cannot legally sell a franchise to you if you want to buy the franchise for 2 weeks after you sign a disclosure document saying that you are aware of these facts if you do want to move forward. But signing a disclosure document doesn't mean shit. You don't have to move forward. Burn that, whatever. It just means that if you do move forward, we can prove we gave you the information, so you're not going into a deal you don't want to do, right? So I got a lead scheduled in Florida. I'm in Louisiana. They're supposed to show up at the Florida office, and the team in the Florida office is supposed to give them this document, and then they do the online meeting to go over it. And in this scenario, one time the Florida office, they knew this appointment was coming, and they just fucking didn't show up. They were doing other shit instead. And a similar thing happened in Baton Rouge. They were literally at a baseball game. It is a $50,000 deal. I scheduled this appointment. They knew about it in advance. I reminded them the week of, the day before, the day of. They still went to a fucking baseball game. Instead of trying to help me move this $50,000 deal through. And then I got to rebook that lead, but they're less likely to come back because we just flaked on them, right? So I'd be calling these people, like, and this is a regular occurrence. And when it was first happening, I would be calling them so stressed out, like, hey, my lead's at the door, nobody's there, where are you guys? And they'd be like, you need to watch your attitude. And I'm like, I'm not trying to have an attitude with you. I apologize. I'm just trying to rush because my lead is waiting at the door. Nobody's answering the door. And y'all are supposed to be there. And y'all told me y'all were going to be there. So where are you? So I can call them back and let them know where you are. And they're like, oh, we're at dinner. We're getting drinks and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, and they're like, you need to calm down. You're way too stressed. You're being too rude. And I'm just like, I get paid on commission only, bitches. You know, like, so that job was so stressful and so hard. And it's like, you try to advocate for yourself at all. If they can tell you're at all stressed, they don't help you relieve that stress. You know what they do? They use it against you. They say, oh, you're not asking nice enough. Oh, you're too emotional. Oh, you need to calm down. And you could literally have just been saying, I'm sorry, I'm just worried because they're waiting. And they're like, oh, well, don't take your anxiety out on me. And I'm like, I don't know what words to use right now to be productive in this moment, but what can I tell them so we can cover our asses or something? Like, help me out here. Fuck. You know what I mean? Is how it gets. Because, like, that's how it is in corporate America. That's how the government is. They are corporate America. Do you understand? So when Brittany Jones doesn't understand how these conversations go, because you can't just sit there and say, fuck you, bitch, you're not coming in this city. That's not going to go well. That's going to get used against you. Do you understand? It's like, so I think she may be trying to weaponize this message to say, oh, Tina Kotek supports Trump. But what I don't think she understands is how corporate communication works. And it's like, for me, even when I understand it, because I know how it works, I just feel there's a difference between, I know, like, because I know how they are, so I have to get with their program, meaning I have to just act like everything is fine no matter what, right? But you know what I started doing? I started reporting them to the vice president of the corporation, and then got all their asses in trouble. Then they all got yelled at, and then I fucking left the damn company. You know what I mean? Because fuck that shit. But it's like, so I went from trying to work with them to, oh, if you're gonna make my life harder, I have no desire to cover your ass then. I'm gonna go tell the vice president of the corporation that you're not fucking showing up at work then. Fuck you. That's where I got. You know what I mean? So, like, that's where you need to understand relationships matter. And Brittany Jones does not understand that, in my opinion. And it's one thing for it to be like, oh, they should have just shown up to work anyway. I shouldn't have to beg them to show up to work. I shouldn't have to beg them to treat me like my appointments matter, like my time matter, like I matter, right? But when they don't, you have to then acknowledge that, accept it, and reroute, you know? So, yeah, and I think in this situation, Tina Kotek has no route to reroute to. She is back in the corner. And I think There's no right way to handle this situation. There's no wrong way to handle this situation either. Because it's a situation you shouldn't even have to fucking be in. And I think for her to bring that up as if that's on Tina and not on Trump is interesting. And, you know, just interesting to me. Apologies about that ramble. But let's see here. Exposure says doesn't want to show up for me. So exposure says that you have to head off. Have a great day. All right. Let's keep watching this. My bad, y'all.
And only getting in front of the camera about ICE when it diverts attention away from the fees and the taxes.
So, do you not understand the issue with how you're only getting the interviews off of claiming a native identity you don't have then? Just curious.
Oh,
And so, yeah, the leadership is not protecting our communities the way they should be, taking a stand and protecting them.
yeah, that's it. It's a big shame. It seems like people are, on one side or the other when it comes to that, and sometimes forget to take a step back and realize they're a human being, and there's human beings that are having different consequences due to certain actions or inactions of the current administration. One of those we had spoken about on a prior show was that I-5 corridor, how that is when we talk about human trafficking and other nefarious acts. Is I-5 still kind of the highway that's the same way that you remember it just a few short months ago, or is the current administration taking any steps?
So to my knowledge, they haven't taken any steps, and unfortunately, all the attention is on ICE now. So it's like everybody's reporting on ICE that, ICE is going down I-5 or 126 or 99, and the human trafficking outside of like the MMIW awareness has kind of been pushed under the rug. But I did meet with a prison abolition.
Did she just say human trafficking outside of MMIW awareness has been pushed outside of the rug? Human trafficking impacts mostly Indigenous community and people of color such as Black community members, Asian community members, our Arab community members, etc., people who do not present phenotypically as white. For her to say, oh, MMIW takes away from human trafficking when this is why she should not speak for MMIW. This is racism. This is her being fucking racist. Other community members, people who are white, are not impacted the same way as other community members by human trafficking. They already have the resources. So what are you talking about? Oh, MMIW is taking away from that? Like, what? MMIW needs to be more prevalent. This is crazy work to me. That's crazy work to me. That's so racist. I'm going to replay that.
ICE is going down I-5 or 126 or 99, and the human trafficking outside of like the MMIW awareness has kind of been pushed under the rug.
This is so fucking racist. She said human trafficking outside of MMIW awareness has been pushed under the rug. You cannot tell me this is someone who supports Indigenous issues. You cannot tell me this is someone who should be speaking for Natives. This is fucking crazy. Crazy work. Joe said the audacity. Data indicates that white victims of human trafficking are significantly more likely to receive help and services than missing and murdered Indigenous women who face severe systemic barriers to justice, recognition, and assistance. While Native Americans represent only about 1% of the population, we account for roughly 25 to 40% of trafficking victims in many jurisdictions, but are the least recognized and protected population. So what the fuck do you mean that, oh, outside of MMIW awareness, human trafficking has been pushed under the rug? MMIW awareness exists because human trafficking has been pushed under the rug for missing and murdered Indigenous women. Because other communities are the ones who get those resources, not Native people. It's the opposite. This is blatant disrespect for the MMIW movement. This is blatant disregard for Indigenous issues. This is racism. This is whitewashing Indigenous issues. And this is why I say she's fucking problematic. When other communities go missing, y'all get alerts. Y'all get the Amber Alerts for you. Native people don't get that. What did we see from our previous research with, I believe it was Native Women Wilderness, where they discuss that a very small percentage of women who actually go missing and murder Indigenous people who actually get documented, it's only a very small percentage of people who actually get documented and reported missing by the officials. But Native community tracks over 1,000 times more than that, like a lot more people than what the colonizers report, because the colonizers don't recognize us, don't help us, don't support us. When Native community members try to file reports that we are missing, they don't fucking listen. They refuse to file the report. But when someone who looks like Brittany Jones wants to file that her daughter is missing like she did in 2025, everybody's willing to report your daughter as a missing person because you're white. She does not experience the violence, the injustices of the MMIW movement, or she wouldn't fucking disrespected this way. She's a fucking disgrace.
But I did meet with a prison abolitionist, and we did have a conversation about how if I am elected governor, that I want to pardon certain crimes or certain prisoners, like the victims of sex trafficking that were convicted of sex crimes when they were actually victims. And when I say that I like pardoning sex crime,
this shows extreme ignorance. A lot of people who are victims of sex crimes, who are then arrested for sex crimes, are people who, yes, they may be victims, but they also perpetuated the crime. A lot of sexual assaults and rapes are done by people who were also sexually assaulted and raped. This rhetoric is ignorant and upholds rape culture. It's one thing where, when you're discussing cases, specific cases, such as where we see people who were trying to fight off their attacker get charged. They should not be charged. That's different, right? Versus this rhetoric she's using does not specify that. And it opens loopholes for a lot of problematic shit that I think she's too ignorant to fucking speak on.
it's not, pardoning a pedophile and letting them out. It's specifically the victims that should never have been incarcerated in the first place, that were forced into that work, and they just need a place. They needed help, not punishment. And so I'm going to take that approach in that regard while we are trying to figure out what to do with the human trafficking.
I don't know if a governor has. So, when it comes to retroactive laws like this, I don't think the governor. I don't know if like, for example, when they legalized weed, they didn't release everybody who's been incarcerated for weed. So even if I think it's possible for her to legalize going forward, change the law going forward, I don't know if it's going to impact the people who are still dealing with those issues in the past, but maybe theoretically that could help someone in the future. I think she's not the correct person, even if she has these ideas, because she's so ignorant and uninformed on these issues. Her wording is harmful, and I don't think she should be speaking on it.
Issue, at least at the state level.
Yeah, and like I said, I know a little bit firsthand. I don't quite remember the exact timing of when we last spoke, but we're as an organization and a mutual acquaintance. We are on what you just spoke about, having somebody.
And mind you guys, the last podcast where they just spoke is where she said her experience for these issues was acting in a play in theater.
It was sex trafficked, labor trafficked, and the traffickers are coming after us for trying to help the individual who was trafficked. And that is, unfortunately, not only in Oregon, but across the United States. It's very disheartening when their traffickers are the ones literally going after the people they traffic for the same things that they did. So just like you said, it's literally just like flip the switch and say, oh, we didn't do this. You're the one that did it to me. And so for our viewers and our listeners, this is a very, very real across the United States. This isn't, and I know we're speaking specifically about Oregon tonight, but across the United States, there's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of power that is on the side of the actual what you mentioned, the pedophiles, the individuals that are committing these crimes, and it's like you said, to be able to have any type of a law that would let this happen, no matter where in the United States. So definitely hear what you're saying there, because it is a big problem. And until right people get into office, like yourself, and you're able to execute your platform, it doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. I guess I'm just curious.
What would make her the right person? Are you fucking kidding me? I can't believe people listen to this shit and they're like, yeah, this is nice. Like, what?
When did you like first learn about this type of activity that was going on? Is this years or months, or can you just maybe share for the viewers and listeners who might not be quite so sure about or haven't heard about this yet?
Well, I first learned about the sex trafficking and human trafficking on the I-5 corridor years ago. I was an actor and just on a small production.
If your response to an interview about human sex trafficking is, I just learned about it from acting in a play, you should not be taking interviews speaking on these fucking issues, because that does not give you lived experience on these fucking issues. You are fucking faking. You are pretending. Dude, this is acting a fucking narrative. This is disturbing to me. It's one thing to have a stance on these social issues versus to be taking representation in the media speaking on behalf of the context of these social issues that you have no lived experience on. It's crazy work to me. You have no lived experience on human sex trafficking. You have no lived experience on being Native. That's why the fuck you're saying fucked up shit about MMIW, and this bitch pisses me the fuck off.
Out here called the Chop Box, and it never got produced. They actually lost the footage for it because their hard drive crashed, and it was a horror movie that they were making, and there was a monster in the movie, but all the references were to bring attention to human trafficking. So that's when I first became aware of it. And then when I started doing more research, and
you know how I became aware of it? My grandmother would tell me as a child what was done to her, because she didn't want it to be done to me. There are conversations my grandmother had with me that in hindsight I don't think she should have had with me. I was too young. But the older I get, the more I understand why she had those conversations with me anyway. I think that was her mind wanting to make sure that I was aware of what could be danger. For people actually impacted by sex trafficking, for you to say, oh, I'm going to speak on sex trafficking because I became aware of it through a fucking play, is insulting as fuck. It's traumatizing, it's triggering. You have no lived experience to speak on these issues. This is crazy work.
as a single parent, and CPS had been called on me too at one point, and I learned that they're like illegal trafficking for children. They take them out of perfectly good homes, they put them into other homes, and the more children they have in their system, the more money they get from the state. And it's a for-profit system where they take children from their homes, and that contributes to the human trafficking as these children age up and out of the system and nowhere to go, because literally when they turn 18, they're like, okay, bye, and they put them out. So all of this is all interconnected, and it's one of those things. I've been a part of a Facebook group called Fix/Fight CPS, because the entire organization needs to be completely redone so that it doesn't create new victims.
Very true. Thank you for sharing that so succinctly. Since the last time we talked, have there been
I don't believe she should be speaking on the trauma of CPS issues either. I think we should let people who are actually foster children, who are actually went through the CPS system, who actually went through things such as adoption and foster care and all of that, speak on it, because those are the people who can accurately represent these issues. And I don't think people who don't have a lived experience on this fucking shit need to be fucking using that type of shit for the goddamn governor campaign on a fucking podcast.
any modifications to your platform that have come up, or is it very similar?
Well, with the escalation by ICE in our communities, my platform has shifted, because while we could talk about the housing issues and the
So you admit that you just using these talking points for your platform then? Got it.
education issues and the connectivity with connecting small towns to bigger cities and helping the economy, nobody feels safe going to work. Nobody feels like, children don't feel safe going to school. They don't feel safe having community gatherings. And so a huge part of my platform, as soon as I get into office, would be to launch a full criminal investigation into ICE conduct, at least individually against the agents within the state of Oregon. Because the supremacy clause does not protect somebody if they overstep the bounds of their authority, and if the state and federal laws don't conflict with each other. And theft of personal property, overstepping your authority, like detaining citizens, which ICE does not have the authority to do, and torturing while they're in their custody, that's illegal on the federal and state level. So criminal charges could absolutely be pressed against individual agents. And while that's going on, we'll be launching a lawsuit to recover some of the losses that these people have been through, because Indigenous activists are out there screaming for help, and they're being completely ignored. And so they need, like,
you know, it's crazy that you're going to say in one comment that human trafficking is swept under the rug because of MMIW, while also saying Indigenous activists are being completely ignored. So which is it? Just admit that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bitch.
The community out here needs a leader that's not going to hide in their office or pretend to care when they want to pass tax hikes. Meanwhile, they're texting Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's it just boggles the mind. And this is a good lead into the next question. The Indigenous people, as we know, and as I found out even more from our conversation,
She can't speak for Indigenous people. She has no connection to Indigenous people.
prior, they're incredibly resilient. Do they feel good knowing, who you are, what you stand for?
Indigenous community does not support her. We don't consider her Native. She has no ancestral connection to being Indigenous. She has no cultural ties, no community ties. She's a European woman. She only has European ancestors documented. She misrepresents Potomac. She doesn't know how to say the name. She literally tried to make a Facebook post saying that Potomac, that Powhatan means Potomac. That if you're Powhatan, that means you're Potomac. She doesn't even know what the fuck it means to be Powhatan. Literally, no. Let's see what lies she says now. Oh, and she also lied to saying that she was going to get enrolled when she knows she can't get enrolled.
Or in your run for the governorship, for being the candidate to support?
But just like last time, I can't speak for everybody. I can't speak for all Indigenous communities. All I can say is that since the last time we spoke, my relative in the Potawatomi tribe, he was the historian for over 23 years.
Mind you guys, it's Potomac. Potomac, not Potawatomi, Potomac. She does not know how to say it right. She keeps claiming that Bill Deo endorsed her for governor, but she's never shown proof. I do not believe he has endorsed her for governor because I've never seen proof of that. I will believe it when I see the proof. Without proof, I don't believe it. I do not believe she's been in, and I think that this is what I'm saying with the tokenizing and the proximity issue. She did not get any other elder blessing. She did not get the chief's blessing. She has no connections with the community. The only Potomac man she can claim connection to is getting her GEDmatch DNA analysis reviewed by Bill Deo, which is now where she's probably about to say that he endorsed her, but I've never seen proof of that.
He gave me his personal endorsement for governor. He supports what I'm doing out here, and I was very honored to receive that. I actually cried a little bit because it's like, yay, my family claims me. And then
one person is not your family claiming you. Understand that. And right here she's saying, and out here, the people that she works directly with, she utilizes networking with other natives to claim proximity to Indigenous community instead of connecting with Potomac people, because she does not have any connection with Potomac tribe. Because she's not actually fucking able to represent what it means to be Indigenous. And notice, she doesn't say at all here, I have far distant ancestry that goes way back, I have no Indigenous lived experience. Instead, she tries to answer from an Indigenous perspective, which she does not have. I perceive these as lies.
And out here, I can say that the people that I work directly with, they support what I'm doing. And whether they personally, like publicly or privately, want to support that, that's up to them. And I'm okay with either. I don't have a requirement for my friends and family to be publicly vocal about their support for me. I'm just grateful for the guidance and the.
Actually, that's funny because you blocked me because I didn't vocally support you enough, because I told you that I was not comfortable with your lies about being Native. Ain't that funny? Ain't that funny, bitch? So apparently you do have that requirement now, don't you?
The mentorship that I'm able to get from the people that I work with and for.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, definitely.
Also, she blamed Hannah shooting Bear on all of this too.
We can't force individuals how they want to share that, and so yeah, some public, private, and other means. Let's maybe head back to just for a moment to the human trafficking prosecution. I know last time we spoke, I believe that one of the things.
Okay, but this guy, we need to question him too, because she's already told you that her experience for human sex trafficking is acting in a play, and you're still treating her as if she's a valid authority on that issue. Something is fucking wrong with this dude. You can't convince me otherwise.
Things not only about the pardoning of the individuals who were wrongly convicted for being the people being taken, as far as taking that next step in the prosecution of the individuals who had and maybe currently still are trafficking, as far as the penalties go, I guess is what I'm getting at, where there's some states that that I think California is one of those ones where I don't even know if it's like a misdemeanor or it boggles my mind that there's even that we even have to talk about this topic. But I think that, as we were talking previously, that were we talking about making that a death penalty eligible if certain criteria were met?
Well, see, the thing is there's so many people against the death penalty. My personal opinion is if they're a child predator and they're hurting children, I'm all for it. As long as there's concrete evidence that it happened, it's not a false accusation for revenge. That power, though, to change the legislation that way lies with your.
This says everything there is to say about her, in my opinion.
State representatives, your House, your Senate. The governor cannot even introduce legislation to the floor to be voted on. So that, like, I could go to a representative or a senator and be like, hey, I wrote this bill, or I would like this to be pushed. Can you introduce it to the floor so you guys could work on it? And they could say yes, but then they could leave it on their desk and it could never see the light of day again. So it's not under the governor's office to create new laws. However, under the governor's office, there is the enforcement of the laws. And I am a strong believer in no longer giving predators a slap on the wrist and allowing them to go right back out onto the streets to offend again. And so I would definitely support harsher penalties and enforce those for those that are convicted.
What I don't think she understands is how this disproportionately affects people of color. How it's white people who get set free, and she wouldn't have control over that in the jurisdictional system. It just becomes like she's speaking from a place of white privilege on all of this. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know this. Are judges in Oregon, are they elected or are they appointed, or does it depend?
I believe they're elected. I've
Okay.
never ran for office, but I think they're elected because they're down in Drain, Oregon. There was a judge, but then nobody apparently ran for that position again, and now they just haven't had a judge for years.
Oh,
in there. And then so the little courthouse they have down there closed down. So I guess I think they're elected throughout the state, but I could be wrong.
oh yeah, yeah. I was just curious because it seems like every jurisdiction is a little bit different. So I was just curious on that. And we kind of talked about this, but maybe we can just lay out and what are your kind of day one. And I think we talked maybe about like maybe like first 90 days or maybe your first 6 months of how when they think of Brittany Jones for governor of Oregon, what do you want people, voters, citizens, what do you want them to think about when they're going to the ballot box?
In the beginning of my campaign, I wanted to start with one of my platforms being to make Oregon safe. And my team was like, well, then people are going to think that Oregon's not safe, that you want the outside perception to be that our state's not safe. And I think it's beyond time to say the quiet part out loud is Oregon is not safe. Nowhere is safe with a dictator in office. And we have to have leadership in place that's willing to recognize that and take steps to make it safe. So day one.
this is crazy because if you're saying that it's not possible for it to be safe with a dictator in office, then you being in office won't make it safe because there would still be a dictator in office if you're calling that Trump. Like, what is this? Um, I don't understand, and that's why you don't think it's safe. That's crazy to me. Um, I feel like she's leaning into like I feel like okay, so there used to be white flight when it came to oh, if too many black people were moving too close to white people, they wanted to move away, white flight, right? Now it's like a different white flight where it's like people are like, oh, if we have to be if we have to be around Trumpers, we want to get away. You know what I mean? It's like the liberal white flight in a way. And I think she's trying to kind of weaponize that white flight concept to then use safety as like a scarcity scare tactic in her campaign. Like, oh, we are not safe, but I can make us safer. I'll be your hero, type thing, in my opinion. I think that's what she's doing with that rhetoric there because she's not addressing the social issues that would make it safe, in my opinion. She literally said that the MMIW crisis was causing human sex trafficking to get swept under the rug when most human sex trafficking impacts Indigenous people. So I don't think she's someone that can help with safety.
Is when I'm going to start the criminal investigation into ICE. Day one is when I'm going to start the lawsuit for the violation of human rights. Day one is when I'm going to start doing a full budget review of all of our departments, because anytime you take a stand against ICE, you risk.
You know how much time that would take? She's saying a lot of things she's going to do day one, but I don't think she's realistic about the time it takes to actually do these things. So again, I perceive her as making promises she can't keep. A lot of things she says on face value, conceptually, theoretically, great idea, cool idea, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But execution, she doesn't have the ability to execute, and she's not realistic about what it would take to get it done. She thinks, oh, make me governor and I can snap my fingers and now I'm in control. That's not how it works.
Losing federal funding. So we need to make sure that our state has the stability needed to be able to take a stand and to be safe. And that's like my day one priorities, is to get those started and to really focus on that so that we can work on our housing plan. We can work, excuse me, so we can work on our housing plan, work on our education plan and our infrastructure plan for transportation, fixing the highways and the rail system, connecting the small towns to the big cities. But we need to make sure that we have a safety net in place to be able to do that. So when people are going to the ballot and if they're not sure who they're going to vote for, I want to let everybody know that I will fight tooth and nail to make Oregonians safe. And so if you're feeling not safe and you're like, who will fight for us? Who will stand with us? Vote Brittany Jones, because I will do that.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's so refreshing how transparent you are with exactly with what you're sharing.
So if you're claiming that you're Indigenous, yet you throw Indigenous people under the bus when it comes to human sex trafficking, how can we expect you to keep anybody safe when you won't even keep the community you claim safe? That's interesting. But and also if you lie about your ancestry to act as if you're a bigger part of the community than you actually are, how can we count on you keeping anybody safe when you're not even honest about who the fuck you are?
And you mean what you say, and yeah, you're not being shy about it. And I think some individuals running for office or in office, they ways of like skirting around like the truth, or skirting around the answer that they want to give, because it just comes back to a talking point that you have real concrete specific things that you want to do and implement day one, and you want a departure of the past on quite a few of those. And that should be a breath of fresh air to Oregonians to say, wow, like we didn't know if we would have an opportunity to have a candidate that would come through and actually want to do that, because it's kind of like that saying, if you do the same thing over and over, it's crazy or what, but it gets you not very far. It gets you into the same place you're at, like same place you're standing or sitting or walking. You don't have much room to wiggle, and so for you to have that experience also for Oregonians, that you also ran for the presidency in an earlier term, so you're not what's that? This isn't your first rodeo, I guess is the way to put it. So you have your mindset, and know what information you need to share, how you need to share it, taking those opportunities. So I assume that you're going to spend more time behind the desk than in front of the camera if you're able to, I know you want to get out and see a lot of things, but talking about how your current governor is, texting, President Trump and doing that, you want to get down to the business of, okay, like you said with the budget, like what's every single line, what does it mean, and where's that money going, and where has it been going, and just going through that, it makes me kind of, it's almost like feel like I run a marathon, like thinking about it, because there's so many different lines to the budget, and to really get to the bottom, in my mind, I can see you, not you, but a person in the office say, "What's this mean?" Like, "Oh no, don't worry about that. That's just that goes in, I don't know, this particular area." And I can see you going, "No, no, no, no. Like, what does this mean?" Like, and something that I can understand, so I can decide if you need that money. It could be directed elsewhere, or having a balanced budget isn't always a bad thing to have, especially the way the overspending goes. But it's really refreshing. Again, I said I think on our last show as well. Now we're in January of 26. When is the election for the governorship? Is that in November, or is it a special election in a different?
Because I'm running as part of a party, we have the primaries in May. So I am challenging the incumbent. So May 19th is when people can cast their vote for me to help me beat out Tina Kotek. And then if I beat Tina Kotek, then I'd be on the ballot for the general election against a Republican and other party candidates that are not Democrats. So the primary just pretty much chooses which Democrat they're going to put forward. And so I need help beating Tina because she's an establishment politician. She has a lot of big money behind her. Unions are already saying that they're going to endorse her without even interviewing other candidates and without letting their members vote on who to endorse. And so we are seeing establishment.
And if people feel strongly about not wanting to vote for Tina, I hope they choose a Democratic candidate that will not lie to them about who they are. I hope they choose a Democratic candidate that does not cause harm to Native people. I hope they choose a Democratic candidate that actually cares about human rights issues and not Brittany Jones.
Politics at play where a grassroots candidate is going against the big guy. So if you like an underdog story and you want to help the underdog win, I need your vote in May, and you have to be registered as a Democrat by April to be able to vote. I forget what date specifically in April, but at least by the beginning of April, if you are registered as a Democrat, you can fill in the bubble next to my name on the ballot on the 19th.
Okay, yeah. So this is definitely crucial timing to let people know that there's a primary, and then even ahead of that, that there's a registration process that has to be completed in order for that individual to be able to actually put in their vote in May to then be able to run the general election. So wow, it's I'm sure you're used to, but it's a lot of different things. You gotta, besides your platform, have to go against, and as you mentioned, with an establishment candidate as well, where like the money just seems to come from all over the place. It's like, oh my gosh, like how does this happen? Uh, wow. And let me see. So when would you go into office? I'm just thinking from like a budget like standpoint of, okay, so people, they register, they vote primary, they vote for B Jones, they vote for you in the general election. Do you go in office in November, or is it like a January thing like the presidency? Just curious.
I think we would swear into office in January because I think that's, sorry, my daughter's getting chipped.
Okay.
I think we would go into office in January, just like the presidency. I will have to double check that though, because I was reading about it a little bit ago and I was like, oh, that makes sense because, let them finish out their term.
Okay. Okay. Uh, what else did I miss to be able to share? I believe you have a website, right? Do you want to let people know what that is and what information they can find?
So I have a link tree because our website, we're using Wix, so it's a free website, but it's
Oh,
a really long URL. But I have a link tree. So I do have a website, I have a Facebook, I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram, and we have a Signal chat for volunteers. We have ActBlue for donations. We're working on merchandise and yard signs, and we have some really cool logos that we're going to be putting out. But the link tree has the link to our website, it has a link to volunteer or sign up for our newsletter. It has a donation link. And then our website, you actually have the ability to find the TikTok, which is actually just BJ for Oregon.
okay.
And then the Facebook is Jones for Governor 2026.
Okay.
Jones for Oregon Governor. It's a longer one. So is the Instagram. But you can also just Google Brittany Jones for Governor of Oregon, and Ballotpedia will pop up, Wikipedia will pop up, and so my information is out there.
Okay. The so somebody decides, I want to donate towards your campaign. Is that from are they able to write that off on their taxes? The reason I'm asking is because there's a lot of charities, a lot of nonprofits out there. I didn't know when you get into the political sphere if somebody decides to donate, if that's something that, or if it's just not that it matters either way. I'm just curious if there might be somebody out there listening or watching thinking like, oh wow, like I wonder if I could write this off on my taxes. I know it's not the biggest question and the biggest deal, but never know.
I have heard there is like a tax credit or something like that if you donate to political campaigns, but I'm not 100% sure. So that's
Okay.
something you have to ask your tax person. Hey, if I donate to this campaign, is that a tax write-off? Do I get a deduction for it or a credit for it? I think that's always something you should check if you're not sure.
If you were to say to the viewers and listeners, what's the, besides the voting aspect, 'cause that's huge. That's what moves the process along and moves you along in the in the cycle. What would be like the number one thing if somebody's already registered to vote, if they've already kind of made up their mind or they're following what your media presence, what would be like the number like one and two things you would want somebody to look at in your link tree?
In my what was that last part? Sorry.
Oh, in your link tree, like if they were on your
Oh, my
link
link
tree
tree.
with, yeah, what would you want them to like guide them to do? Like if they're already registered to vote and they're just kind of like, all right, what can I do between now and May for the campaign?
I would say the volunteer link and the donation link because we need both of those. I need people to help canvassing. Like we got the voter registration list from Lane County and it's 122,000 people and only 22,000 of them have phone numbers on there. So we literally have to go house to house to house and talk to people. So I need volunteers, canvassing volunteers, people who do DoorDash that are willing to put my cards with the orders they drop off because that helps me reach people. And there's a lot of ways that you can.
Why does she keep telling people to do that? That first of all can get DoorDashers fired. Okay? Do not do that. That can get you fired. She does not care about those people's ability to make a living. She should not be having people volunteer for her. That's exploiting labor. That is exploiting labor. Like, literally pay your fucking people, and if you can't pay, do the work yourself. Stop exploiting people. Stop jeopardizing people's jobs. Stop doing marketing without consent. People did not consent. People wanted their fucking food. They did not consent to get your fucking flyer. That's inhumane. That's disturbing. And I'm still not over where she was saying that MMIW takes away from human sex traffickers. Like, are you fucking kidding me? She doesn't understand how she, as a European, is taking away Native representation. But she thinks Native Americans take away from human sex trafficking representation. She's a fucking piece of shit. She's a racist, white supremacist European bitch. And she can suck my fucking dick.
Can help a grassroots campaign spread. We still need a campaign manager. I'm still doing the majority of the work with my PR manager. So we need a campaign manager and my website needs.
Their PR manager is terrible. PR manager is terrible. She can't even really claim she has one because they don't do anything. They don't. If your PR manager doesn't manage your PR, you do not have a PR manager. Your PR is not managed. You were fucked.
Needs a huge overhaul. So volunteers, we definitely need, and we need donations because unions look at donations and how much money you've raised as a deciding factor if they endorse you or not because they want you to raise money. I'm like, well, don't they realize that if they endorse you, they help you raise money? So they should look at your policies and not how much money you raised. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a catch-22 there. So donations and volunteers, that's what we need.
Okay. And a campaign manager, if somebody wants to help out in a larger way day to day and help direct. So would that be like social media as well, or I guess how would what would be like maybe like a duty or two that you would want a campaign manager to do?
So campaign managers oversee the entire campaign. They help set up the interviews. They work closely with the PR. They make sure that you don't miss opportunities. So like if Tina Kotek is given 30 seconds on the news, then your campaign manager would be like, hey, I claim time for my candidate too. She gets 30 seconds as well, or you have to talk about her for 30 seconds. So the campaign manager really organizes the campaign so that the candidate can be the candidate and focus on going out there and meeting people and just getting the message out there.
What's your reception when you do the knocking on doors or you're meeting people and you're listening to what they're sharing? What how's that go as far as like the reason why I'm asking, I did we did a show the other day and about my market research class, and we had this project where it was I think it was for United Way, and the project was like you said, every student got a list and you had to, and this is in the early 2000s, and you would have to call and ask them questions, interview, or yeah, I guess like interview questions and trying to get more information for the organization. And so I just remember that. And so when you talk about canvassing with dashers and going door to door, what's been kind of like the feedback of like, oh, I didn't know you were running, I didn't know that there was somebody that had a platform with these issues on there? Just curious.
So we haven't started canvassing door to door yet. We're still organizing because the voter information from the state was very disorganized. So we have to organize it by neighborhood and try to figure out the best map and the route to go. And we don't have the personnel, like the number of people to be able to go out there and knock on doors. I have started a texting campaign for the ones who had phone numbers. And so far I've seen an uptick in the.
Who wants to bet that when she fails at this governor run, she's going to use all the data she got running for governor for her business?
In the visits to the website, we haven't had any new donations yet. But whenever I go out to protests or speaking events, like I was at the town hall yesterday with Jeff Merkley and Val Hoyle, and just being there, you're able to talk to people. And So I'm able to meet people, hand out my cards. A lot of them, almost every single person I've talked to at these protests, at the rallies, at meet and greets for other candidates, almost every single one says that Tina needs to go. And they're glad that somebody is running against her. And so it's always been a positive response in those situations.
That's great. And you kind of, word of mouth is always helpful. So to know that they had a conversation with you, and the hopes is, from that grassroots level, that that they're talking to their family members or their friend groups, and letting them know, maybe putting out a social media message, like positive ones, because you could use those more now. What else did I miss? I missed that you'd like to share? We got about a minute or so left, if you like.
I am also a member of Courage Candidates now. So Courage
Okay.
Candidates, or they actually support the impeachment process. So primarily they have congressional candidates, but I approached them. I was like, I support impeachment. I just heard about you guys. You guys sound amazing. So we had an interview and they brought me on board. So I am one of their candidates. And once I get my statement and headshot and all that to them, then I'll be, I'll get their endorsement publicly. And we have a meeting every Monday, and it's great connecting to other candidates nationwide who have the same, from multiple different parties, that just support the accountability aspect that's lacking in our government today. And it's like, because it's not just impeachment for Donald Trump, it's impeachment for any elected official, regardless of party, that's abusing their power and not working for the people anymore.
Absolutely. And there's so much learning that I've gotten from our conversation that I know it's going to be helpful for our viewers and listeners as well, on different processes, and that sometimes there can be misconceptions one way or the other, or all over the place. So to have just that information, and have a candidate like yourself just being so down to earth, and sharing it, that you're not just repeating the talking points. That's like, again, the grassroots, like, we want to get things done once we get into office, but we need some help. And so donations, volunteers, campaign manager, Linktree. So is it Linktree, and then there's a slash, and then is it just Brittany for, or BJ for governor, or how would they be able to find you on Linktree?
So if you actually, the link tree is on my TikTok. So if you just look up
Oh,
BJ for Oregon on TikTok, and it's in the bio, and I think it's on my Facebook too. But I can send it to you as well if you
okay.
would like. But I try to include it in a lot of the stuff in my text messaging campaign. I include it at the end of my text messages so that everybody has access to it. And I'll be adding more links to it. Like, I'm gonna put my Instagram link on there, the Facebook link, make sure everything is just all in one spot so people can just go follow me. Especially with TikTok changing hands this month
I
at
think
some
so.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah, so things are going to change, and so I just want to make sure that all my socials are on there so that we can make sure that we don't lose followers in the transition.
absolutely. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for joining us again on the show, and we'd be happy to have you back if you'd like, as we get closer to May. So don't be a stranger. Have your team reach out. We'd be more than happy to have you on as we get closer, kind of share how the
So it looks like I'm gonna end up with another one of these fucking podcasts to do goddamn commentary on. Okay.
how the process is going, the updates, and we just appreciate you just being not only a voice for yourself, but you're being a voice for Oregonians, and in general, just human beings, really, just looking at people as humans, and how you can best help. And I, at the core, we're human beings. So then we can go all different ways after that, but at the core, we're human. And I really respect you for coming on, sharing as much information, and I look forward to having you on again, if that plays into your schedule down the road. Don't be a stranger. We can find time to get you scheduled, and
She just told you she was desperate for outlet for coverage. You already know she's gonna come.
any updates, or there's a specific topic that you want to share, or a specific event, we can do that as well. So thank you, Brittany.
And thank you for having me on again. And I would love to be on again. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. And we thank you, our viewers, our listeners, wherever you may be here in the United States, across the world, especially in the United States and the state of Oregon. Brittany Jones, BJ for Governor 2026. If you're an Oregonian and you're not registered to
All
vote,
right, that's enough of that. Fuck it. So we're done here. I'm done here. Before, as I conclude, rather, not necessarily before, as I conclude, let's just pull something up real quick. Alrighty, let's pull this back up. Let's replay this clip one more time here.
So it's like everybody's reporting on ICE that, ICE is going down I-5 or 126 or 99, and the human trafficking outside of like the MMIW awareness has kind of been pushed under the rug.
So, yep, I was too triggered to focus on the rest of this podcast stream because, in conclusion, this European white woman with no native ancestors documented on familysearch, this European white woman thinks that missing and murdered Indigenous woman awareness pushes human trafficking outside of under the rug. Outside of MMIW awareness, she believes human trafficking is pushed under the rug. She's saying human sex trafficking is pushed under the rug outside of MMIW awareness. A European white woman acting as if MMIW awareness has kept human trafficking from being understood is racism. How can you think that MMIW, who are the most impacted by human sex trafficking and the least heard, the least reported, the least represented, the least found, are pushing the human sex trafficking who are found, who are made aware under the rug? Like, what? You think that MMIW, advocating for MMIW, pushes human sex trafficking for other people under the rug, but you don't seem to understand how you, as a European woman with no Native ancestors documented speaking for Natives, isn't pushing Native representation under the rug? Okay. This is disrespectful. This is racism. This is talking shit on the MMIW movement. And I will not, I will never stand by this. I'll never accept it. I'll never support this. This is not somebody who can speak for MMIW. This is not somebody who can speak for being Native. She's not claimed by community. She's not claimed by family. She got a GEDmatch DNA analysis review. That doesn't make her claimed by community. She's never posted proof of any endorsement for a reason. Let that sink in. If she was actually endorsed, why wouldn't she prove it? So yeah, I want to just remind you guys that her being a white woman means she's more likely listened to on these issues. I believe she tokenizes Native identity to speak over Native people on Native issues in order to benefit for her political gain. I don't believe somebody who is comfortable exploiting Native community is someone who can make any community safer or fairer. That's just my opinion. She triggers me. This whole thing triggered me, but this comment right here, human trafficking outside of MMIW awareness has been pushed under the rug, is what she claims. I find that is evidence that she is white, culturally assimilated, European raised. She's not connected to Native community, or she would fucking know better. You cannot claim to be a volunteer for MMIW while also saying MMIW has awareness, but human sex trafficking in general doesn't, when literally that is what the MMIW is based on, is the fact that other human sex traffickers get awareness when missing and murdered Indigenous women do not. So that's not in alignment. That is wild. That is racism. So, recap, we have gone on a lot of side rambles today, but we reviewed comments I made about Brittany Jones on a post Brittany was tagged in, as well as what I put on my TikTok stories. We also reviewed my response to in a comment thread about Brittany Jones, where I left similar commentary. We read that comment thread, and it was from the KOIN interview, where we already went over that interview. We also then looked at another post somebody else had made about her, We've pulled up some sources along the way, and we have finished up here with this reaction to this podcast, the third podcast she did with Voices for Voices. And here she not only further misrepresented her proximity to Native community, she was claiming that she is claimed by family, but she did not acknowledge that she has no Native ancestors documented. She did not acknowledge that she only got her DNA GEDmatch analysis reviewed by the tribal historian. She's not actually claimed by anybody else in the Potomac tribe. So in my opinion, she's using wording that intentionally leads people to believe she's more connected than she is, and I believe that is her lying. So yeah, I perceive her as a liar in relation to her Native identity in order to claim proximity and tokenize Native community members and for her political gain. That's my opinion. And so yeah, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate all of you guys. This shit really pisses me the fuck off. I am gonna go try and calm down and chill out. If another podcast comes out, we'll cover it. If something else comes out, we'll cover it. Oh, before I go, let me see. I think, did I write any notes? Sometimes I will write notes for myself for shit I wish I said before. So let me see if I've covered everything. God damn it. Wrong button. Okay, yeah, just a couple more thoughts before I go. I previously, well, not anymore. Apologies. Okay. So previously, in my last commentary of my video, I've been speaking on how Brittany Jones, in my opinion, is a European woman. She is a descendant of Nathaniel Bacon. And the description of the last video I did on her, I very much harped on expressing that. And I just want to say, when I'm speaking on Brittany being European and her being a descendant of Nathaniel Bacon and how I believe the genocide of Indigenous people from Nathaniel Bacon was passed on through her, I am literally discussing her being European. She seems to think that if she has a GEDmatch analysis of a relation to any Potomac tribe, that makes her Native, but she doesn't understand that her being a documented direct descendant of Nathaniel Bacon also comes with her needing to decolonize that white supremacy. That's my point there. So yeah, I've been addressing my thoughts on tokenism related to everything, but I just want to say, it's like, if she doesn't think that she inherited qualities from Nathaniel Bacon, an ancestor she does have documented, how could she think she inherited qualities from ancestors she does not have documented? So that is why, in following up on tokenism, I believe she is tokenizing other natives to claim proximity to Indigenous community because she does not have any Indigenous inheritance of her own, in my opinion. So yeah, let that marinate, reflect on that. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate you. I'm gonna wrap this bitch up because I'm just spiraling and angry about everything. And yeah, so yeah, I hope everybody has a great day, and goodbye. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeathchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.